The NHL is in an excellent place in a lot of ways right now, but talent is probably at the forefront, and especially the young talent. But what about the next wave? That's what we're here to talk about today, the prospects. Hey, hockey fans, welcome back. Welcome in if this is your first time joining us for Today in Hockey. I'm Josh. This is the Hockey Flow. Today, it's Wednesday, September 29th, 2022, and I tell you what, big occasion today, guys. It's our first ever tier list video. That's right, we're going to do a tier list today, categorizing the top prospect from all 32 teams in the NHL. So let's take a look. This list is provided to us courtesy of the Hockey Writers. One of their excellent writers went through and gave us a list of the top prospect from each team. So I went through, did a bunch of research. Now, I'm not going to know everything about everyone, right? That's going to be tough. So I did include a category for you guys to leave me comments and teach me some things about maybe a couple of these prospects. But did my best to do some research so we can categorize these guys in regards of NHL superstar, 0.9 points per game or more, first line, first pairing, top 6 forward, top 4 defender, bottom 6 forward, third line defender, and last but most certainly not least, I need your guys' help. We need more info. So before we get started, I do want to just take a moment and say thank you guys so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, I really would appreciate it. Helps us out a ton, and you want to be a part of the best hockey community on YouTube, absolutely. And the regular season's just about to get started, so you never know what videos we're going to do. Maybe start streaming, but we've always got something cooking in the background. So I appreciate you guys. Let's get going. So first up, Anaheim Ducks and Mason McTavish. So he had an excellent offseason, right, for Team Canada. He did get that cup of coffee with the Anaheim Ducks last season as well. Played, 9 games, maybe 10 with them. Didn't use up that year, but did also then have some ups and downs in the youth ranks. But this last offseason, my goodness, he made some excellent plays. And boy, the effort that he puts in, and that's something that came up in a lot of the scouting reports for this young lad, was his effort. So Mason McTavish, I think the future is absolutely bright. Is he a first liner? Is he a superstar? No, I think he is going to be a top 6 forward though in the NHL. I think he would fit in beautifully as a second line centerman for the Ducks. Absolutely. All right, Arizona Coyotes. I'm a big fan of Dylan Guenther here. The Edmonton Oil Kings, and if you're a fan of offense, you'll be a fan of his, as he did finish 6th in the WHL in scoring. Had excellent season. Absolutely. I think Coyotes fans, I think you guys do have a really good one on your hands. I think this is a first line winger. Put Logan Cooley at center, him on the wing. My goodness, the future looks pretty bright. Hopefully you got by the time you get to open your new barn, if you can get that done in a few years, Dylan Guenther, Logan Cooley will be ready to go. So all right, let's move on. Boston Bruins. So Fabian Lysell, this is one player that I had to do a little more digging with. We probably could slip into that need more info, but boy, I fell in love with the scouting reports as I kept reading them. Everything I'm seeing was that he was just really, really dynamic on a not so great team last season, but he really did have a good season, and he's very dynamic skating with the puck, his hands. Sounds like the Boston Bruins could really use him this season, so I am going to slot him in. I think he's going to be a top 6 forward for the Bruins, absolutely. I do think he has a great NHL career ahead of himself. And, before we get too far, I think all these players have excellent NHL careers ahead of them, even the ones that I don't know too much about, right? They're the top prospect for their respective team. Now, of course, not everyone's going to turn out, right? That's just not how all this ever happens. But if everything goes right, I think all these guys are going to have excellent NHL careers. Now, speaking of excellent NHL careers, I should have created a different category for superstar defenders, because I tell you what, That's what Owen Power for the Buffalo Sabres is going to be. Two-way, dynamic, the skating ability, the size, 6'6", the ability with the puck. He really has shown an evolution in his game, a progression. He's just going to get better and better. So absolutely, Owen Power, future superstar. Maybe not over a point-per-game player, but for a defender, he will be considered a superstar, like a Victor Hedman, right? All right, Calgary Flames. I'll admit, it's tough grading the enemy sometimes. Let's go Oilers. But Matthew Coronado did do some wonderful things, including having an excellent season in the NCAA last season, second in points per game, just a skosh over one. I think he is going to be a dynamic NHL player. Let's slot him into top 6 forward. We won't be too hard on the Flames fans today. All right, Carolina Hurricanes, another player that I had to do a lot of digging on, right? Hurricanes fans, though, you guys should be pumped. Reading through the scouting reports for Scott Morrow, he is the complete package. Now, maybe he's not going to wow you in a lot of ways, but he makes really good decisions, which is what you like to see. He's going to be a great puck mover on the blue line. I think he's going to be, he probably could be a first line on the blue line there, but I think we are going to slot him in top 4 defender. I think his floor is going to be second pairing, but if his offensive game continues to develop and match that defensive game and that all-around game, then goodness, maybe first line defenseman is where we want to put him. Chicago Blackhawks, all right, Lukas Reichel. I know we got a lot of moving parts, and Patty Kane, does he stay or does he go? Jonathan Toews, what's happening there? But boy, you guys have some good young talent. Korchinski, you just drafted him. He had a great pass earlier today too. Definitely look at be sure to check that out. But the Chicago Blackhawks and Lukas Reichel, the young German, I think, my goodness, he's going to have an excellent NHL career. This is another effort player. When you're looking through the scouting reports, effort and work ethic, you love to see those come up. But he also was a point per game in the AHL last season. I really do think, if all goes well for Lukas Reichel, this young German could be a first-line centerman for the Chicago Blackhawks and maybe make losing Jonathan Toews at a later date a little easier on them. But boy, the Blackhawks have some good young talent. All right, now we're moving on to the Stanley Cup champions, Colorado Avalanche, Oscar Olofsson. I tell you what, this one's a little tough, right? Because the Avalanche are a team, they're a win-now team because they're a good team. They just won the Stanley Cup this last season, so they are focused on winning. And when you're focused on winning, sometimes you're going to sacrifice the young talent to win now. So the Avalanche have done that, right? And they're not afraid to do that. We saw them trade Barron to the Habs and made the team better. They win the Cup. So Oscar Olofsson, maybe he doesn't even suit up for the Avalanche, but if he does, I think I teetered between top 6, bottom 6. I don't necessarily want to put him in the bottom 6 because I don't think he's a third liner. I think if all goes right, I think he is going to be probably a second liner. We'll be kind on this one. We'll slot him in as a top 6 forward. All right, let's get back into superstars, potential superstars. Columbus Blue Jackets, man, you guys should be so excited for Kent Johnson. I'm not even going to mess around with it. I'm going to put him as an NHL superstar. I really think the future is extremely bright for this young lad. I think he's going to have a season very similar to what Trevor Zegras did last season. I think he's going to be in the forefront of that Calder Trophy conversation. The University of Michigan alum joins his fellow Michigan alum, Owen Power, in the NHL superstar category. Absolutely. Okay, Dallas Stars, you guys have this is another excellent young prospect. So we're looking at Maverick Bourque, the young centerman, and I tell you what, when we look at the scouting reports for him, it's all about the puck IQ and protecting the puck. He uses his body so well, and he was very dynamic last season. Everything that we saw, I think if all goes well, he could slot in. We're going to do it. First line, centerman, if all goes well, boy, the Dallas Stars, you guys have some depth, have some young talent. Rupa Hintz, big fan of his. Be sure to check out our video on him. Absolutely. All right, Detroit Red Wings, we're moving back to another potential superstar maybe. We're looking at Simon Edvinsson from the Detroit Red Wings. You know what? I think all goes right. He's kind of had a rocky preseason, hasn't really taken to it like Red Wings fans were maybe hoping, but I think if all goes right, my goodness, he's going to pair up with Moritz Seider, and they're going to form a dynamic duo on the blue line for the Red Wings for years and years to come. All right, here we go. Homer time. I promise not to be too much of a homer when I do these sort of rankings. I try to be objective as best I can, but this one's a little tough. Xavier Bourgault, boy, I'm a big fan of his game. He's very dynamic. His got the smarts. He just has the package. Kind of got that it factor too. Maybe not going to do something amazing, but boy, he's got skill. He's got talent. This one's tough too. This is kind of like Olofsson, product of this team. For this Oiler team, is he a top 6 forward? I think if all works out for the Oilers and for him, I think he is. I think he's a top 6 forward. All right, Florida Panthers. So this is one that, you know what, I might actually have to slide into the need more info. We're looking at Mackie Samiskovich, so another University of Michigan alum, and I am just getting acquainted with him. So I am going to actually, you know what, let's do it. I need your help, guys. Comment below. Let me know all about Mackie and the Florida Panthers top prospect. Everything that I read is, good, skating, edge work. He's difficult to contain. Those are all positives, right? But it sounds like there's still some projection there. So I don't want to be too mean on him. I don't want to slot him in a bottom 6 forward role if he doesn't deserve it. So Florida Panthers fans, let me know down in the comments. What do you guys think of Mackie? All right, Los Angeles Kings, you guys got a good one here. Brandt Clark, the defender. I think he could have the potential to be an offensive superstar, but we're going to play it safe. I think he's going to be on that same level as Edvinsson. First line, first defensive pairing, absolutely. Brandt Clark, all offense, but my goodness, the NHL is leaning a little offensively right now, especially defenders. We're not as concerned and preoccupied with size. It's a lot about that puck skill, the ability to control it. You can do that. You can use those skills defensively too. Cale Makar shows us that every day. Minnesota Wild, Marco Rossi. So this is a young lad who's had to deal with some COVID stuff, right? Complications of COVID, but boy, sounds like he's back. He's only 5'9". He's a short lad here, but boy, he plays bigger. Built like a brick outhouse. Tell you what, if all goes right for the Minnesota Wild, they have a first-line centerman for years to come. That team, my goodness, Matt Boldy, Kirill Kaprizov, Jesper Wallstedt, he's not even listed as the top prospect. My goodness, we're going to get to the tendies in just a moment. Excuse me, goodness. Montreal Canadiens, Caden Gooley. We're looking at the young defender. I think you guys have another excellent young defender on your hands. Edmonton Oil King alum, wins the championship last season. I think he is going to be a future first-line D-man for the Montreal Canadiens. All right, speaking of the tendies, I didn't even create a spot for the tendies because there's only one, Yaroslav Askarov for the Nashville Predators. We did a video recently looking at the two best tendies, two best young tendies in the NHL prospect ranks. We pitted Sebastian Casa versus Jesper Wallstedt. And you know what? A lot of folks were probably wondering why we didn't include this young lad. And it's mostly because he did have a little bit of a down season last year for him, first time struggling, but he is absolutely the Predators' number 1 overall prospect. And man, it's tempting to put him in the superstar category. He has done so well, but we're going to put him in this first line. I think he is going to have an excellent NHL career. Let's slot him in as not a superstar, but just the next level below. But speaking of future superstars, we did a video pitting Owen Power versus Luke Hughes. No spoilers, be sure to check that one out, but I'm moving Luke Hughes right up to the superstar level because I think he's going to be a superstar in the NHL. Maybe not from a points per game perspective necessarily, but as a two-way dynamic defender. My goodness, that Hughes family, you just see it. Quinn Hughes, the defender, think of him, but just a little taller, right? Maybe not as dynamic skating, but that Hughes family, it is just a thing of beauty to watch them. Had an excellent season at the University of Michigan, going to have another excellent season this year. Absolutely, I think Luke Hughes is going to be a future superstar in the NHL. New York Islanders, Aatu Ratti. This one's a little bit of a roller coaster. Look back to his draft year, and they were thinking he was going to be the top player in the draft. Actually comes to the draft, he struggled a little bit, so he did slide. Well, then he comes back, bounces back last year, has a great season. I think all's going to go well. I think he's going to slot in as a top 6 forward, maybe that second-line centerman. Goodness, the ceiling may be even higher. If he can live up to that potential, maybe he is a first line, but we're going to be a little cautious on this one. All right, New York Rangers, this is another one that maybe I need your help on. So this is Brennan Othman. He was one of 2 players to score 50 goals last season in the OHL. Let me know in the comments. Was it OHL? Yeah, it had to be OHL. Let me know in the comments, though. I need to know more about Brennan Othman. This dynamic young forward, I look through the scouting reports and I see nothing but good things. Looking at this, I want to slot him in as a first-line winger in the future, but there are some questions I have, so maybe I put him in top 6. But Rangers fans, let me know in the comments, or any of you guys, let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on the young Othman lad? Is he going to be an NHL star? I do appreciate you guys. Ottawa Senators. We're looking at the young defenseman Jake Sanderson. I'm a huge fan of the North Dakota product. I think he's going to have a fantastic NHL career. If all goes right and that offensive game keeps developing along with that solid defensive game that he's already got, that vision, the ability to cut those passing lanes, he is going to be a dynamic defender in the NHL. I love what he does with his game, with the puck, his vision on being able to find passes to those outlets. It's just a thing of beauty at times. So Senator fans, be excited. You have another good one there. I think he's going to be a top-line defenseman moving forward. All right, Philadelphia Flyers, I'm going to be completely honest. Tyson Forrester sounds like he's got a really good shot off his off wing, maybe a power play dynamo, but I don't know enough about the young lad to grade him. So let me know in the comments, what do we think about this young lad? Pittsburgh Penguins, Samuel Poulin, we're going to do the same. It sounds like the Penguins have been doing what the Avs do. You know, we're winning now, right? We got to make the playoffs, whatever we can do to win the Stanley Cup, and their prospect pool sometimes suffers because of that. So let me know, Samuel Poulin, where should I be slotting him? Is he a first line? Are we top 6, top 4? Where are we looking at, guys? Let me know in the comments. San Jose Sharks, William Eklund. They got themselves a steal. I don't know if I want to slot him into the first line necessarily. I think if all goes right, he could be, but we're going to be cautious, kind of like the Atu Rati. We're going to put him in top 6 because I tell you what, I'm a big fan of his game, and he got a little taste of the NHL last season too, and actually played really well. I was a little surprised they sent him back to Sweden, but at the same token, they weren't really expecting to make the playoffs, so I kind of get it. Absolutely, let him marinate, let him get some more experience. I think he's going to have an excellent NHL career. Speaking of excellent NHL careers, Seattle Kraken. We did a video on potential breakout players this season. Matty Beniers was one of them. I think he is going to be a future NHL superstar. We're looking at another University of Michigan alum. That's 4 future NHL superstars so far from the University of Michigan. But Seattle Kraken, I think you guys got a really good one with your first ever pick. Matty Beniers is going to have an excellent NHL season, an excellent NHL career. He's dynamic offensively. He brings it defensively. Boy, he's got a little bit of that leadership quality already. You'd love to see it. Just let him roll. Him and Shane Wright, I think the future is bright for the Seattle Kraken. St. Louis Blues, we're going to Jake Neighbors, the Edmonton Oil King alum, won the championship with them as well. We're going to put, I'm going to put him at top 6. The Blues do have some depth at the wing position, so maybe he doesn't even last. Maybe they do trade him for some other talent. It sounds like there's going to be a little bit of a changing of the guard moving into next season, but Jake Neighbors, I'm a fan of his game. I think he is going to be a good, solid NHL player. Isaac Howard, so the Tampa Bay Lightning, they drafted really well. This lad, maybe he was the best dressed at the draft, right? But he also has a great hockey game to go with it. He's an offensive dynamo. Kind of see like a little bit of a young Braden Point, maybe. If all goes well, they'd be thrilled if that happens. I don't think he's necessarily going to be a first liner. I'm going to put him in top 6. I don't want to be too rough on these guys. Top 6 is where Isaac Howard's going to go. All right, Leafs fans, it's your turn. Matthew Knies. So I'm a big fan of Matthew Knies, the power forward from the University of Minnesota. And I tell you what, he had a little bit of a up and down season to then off season. He was flying high last season, and then this off season, didn't really make the impression that a lot of Leafs fans were hoping he'd make. I mean, there were folks clamoring for him in the playoffs last season. So, I think he is going to slot in, especially on that Leafs team. He's probably going to end up being a bottom 6, and do a lot of the dirty work, kill penalties, occasionally score that important goal. I think he's going to have a solid impact for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be top 6 role, going to be that scorer that they depend on. Bottom 6 is a nice spot. Maybe that third line, make that his home and own that. Vancouver Canucks, it's your turn. I know you guys have been patiently waiting. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, the offensive dynamo. I want to, I really do want to put him as an NHL superstar. Everything I read, his offensive awareness, his shot, his vision. I tell you what, I'm going to be a little cautious, but Canucks fans, let me know in the comments, is this kid going to be a superstar? Is he going to be an NHL superstar? Right now, I think the future is very bright, but I want to be a little cautious. I'm going to slot him in on this first line for you guys. Vegas Golden Knights. So this is a team, they're an expansion team, but they are all about winning now. So they've been trading a lot of their young pieces, but that doesn't mean they don't have any good young talent. So Brendan Brisson is another young University of Michigan alum. Don't worry, we're not going to slot him into a superstar. I'm actually going to slot him in bottom 6. To be quite honest, he probably is going to slot in. He could slot in top 6, excuse me. But with all things considered and the Knights prospect pool being a little weaker than others, I do think, he's going to be a solid NHLer, but probably going to be third line, at best, maybe sneak into the top 6. But just to make the fill out the tier list a little bit, let's put him in the bottom 6. Washington Capitals, Henriks Lapierre. He had a little taste of the NHL last season as well. Didn't do too bad at all. He's one of those guys that's going to do everything right, contribute on defense, be that playmaker for you as well. I'm going to slot him in top 6. He's another one. Maybe you could slot in bottom 6, but I really don't see that. I think a second line centerman is probably where he ends up settling if all things go right. And last but most certainly not least, the Winnipeg Jets. We're wearing your guys' jersey today even. I love these kits. The Winnipeg Jets, Cole Perfetti. So a lot of folks are really high on this young lad, and he's another one that, boy, if all goes right, he's so young, right? And already had 18 games with the Jets last season. If all goes right, he could be an NHL superstar, right? But I'm going to cool my Jets just a little bit. I'm going to slip him in. He's going to be a first-line centerman. All goes right. Jets fans, you're going to have an excellent young centerman for years to come. So that's going to do it. Let's see how the dust settled here. We have 4 potential NHL superstars, and they are all University of Michigan alums. Owen Power, Kent Johnson, Luke Hughes, and Matty Beniers. 2 defenders, 2 centermen. Tell you what, this one turned out pretty good. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys think of the tier list? What do you guys think of these prospects? Where do you think they should line up? And for those 4 at the bottom, let me know what these guys' deal is. Are they better than where I'm putting them? Should I be slotting them in first line, top 6? Where should I slot those 4 down there? I do appreciate you guys. That's going to do it for the video today. If you've made it this far and haven't subscribed, I really would appreciate it. But please be sure to leave a comment, like the video, all that jazz. Until next time, hockey fans, I appreciate you all. Cheers!